Renfell here, and we are back for the next episode in the Mondays in Middle-earth series. We are currently into the Silmarillion, and right now we are getting ready to start the Valaquenta, the very first part of this. I don't know how many episodes this part will take up of the overall read-through through the Silmarillion, but we're going to roll with it and see what happens. It says here this is an account of the Valar and the Maiar according to the lore of the Eldar. Now, we've already read through the previous sections of the book, the letters, the foreword, and everything else, and now we're getting into this part. If you've missed the previous episodes, don't forget to check out the playlist because we have been doing this since like early-ish 2022, so there's a lot of episodes to go through. We did The Hobbit, The Fellowship of the Ring, The Two Towers, The Return of the King, the appendices of The Return of the King, and now we're getting into this, and there looks like there's a tiny little over here. I know why, because we've got our, I forgot that the camera had moved over a little bit. There we go. Now you can't see it. That's the way it should be. It says, in the beginning, Eru the One, who in the Elvish tongue was named Iluvatar, made the Ainur of his thought, and they made a great music before him. So is this just a retelling of what we saw in the previous chapters, but this is from the lore of the Eldar? That's my first question to those of you who might be more familiar with the Silmarillion than I am. Because again, I haven't read this book since that was 23, 24 years ago when I last read this. Because this reads like the exact same thing we just read through in the previous two sections. Talking about how Eru made great music. In this music, the word was begun. He made the song visible to the Ainur, and they beheld it as light in the darkness. Many became enamored with its beauty. The world, secret fire was called Ea. Well, the world was called Ea, I guess. It says, those among the Ainu who desired it entered into the world at the beginning of time and began their task, which was to achieve the vision that they had seen in the music. And says they labored long in the regions of Ea, vast beyond the thought of elves and men, until the appointed time, which then Arda was created the kingdom of Earth. They then put on the raiment of Earth and descended onto it and dwelt therein. So they took on forms of that Earth and went there to do their works from there. Frodo, get on the bed. You're being obnoxious. Yes, we have a cat named Frodo. We have actually Frodo, Sam, Merry, Pippin, and Smeagol are 5 of the cats, and then we have Luke and Leia. So there's seven cats. So the great among these spirits that came to Ea were called the Valar, also known as the powers of Arda. Men called them gods. There were 7 lords of the Valar and 7 Valier, the queens of the Valar. I do not remember this at all. These were their names in the Elvish tongue as it was spoken in Valinor. They have many other names in the speech of elves and among men as well. Their names were Manwe, Ulmo, Aule, Orome, Mandos, Lorien, and Tulkas, with the queens named Varda, Yavanna, Niena, Este, Vaire, Vanna, and Nessa. Melkor is no longer counted among the Valar, and therefore his name is not spoken upon earth. Ooh. By the way, something I don't remember, and maybe this is told, I'm assuming this is told somewhere in the Silmarillion because I just don't remember. Did they actually ever kill Melkor, or did he just get thrown into the pit, or thrown into this endless void? I'm sure we'll get an answer to that. So if I am going to get an answer to that, you don't have to answer it in the comments below because I'm sure I'll get to it eventually. But we are reading through the entirety of the Silmarillion, so hopefully you're along for that whole ride. So this is it looks like this is an expansion upon the previous section, which is told from the point of the Valar. It says here that Manwe and Melkor were brethren, the mightiest of the Ainur. Melkor was the mightiest of the mightiest, but Manwe was dearest to Iluvatar and understood most clearly all the things that were in the vision. And he was the first one appointed, says the first of all kings. He delighted in the wind and the clouds and all the regions of the air from the heights to the depths. Sulimo, he is surnamed, Lord of the Breath of Arda. Uh-huh. And with Manwe dwells Varda, the Lady of the Stars. She is so beautiful that her beauty cannot be described in the words of men or elves. Ah. Says here the light of Iluvatar still lives on in her face. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Says she came out of the depths of Ea to Manwe's aid, and she knew Melkor from before the making of the music and had rejected him, and therefore he hated her. So these are the two, basically, yeah, the enemies of Melkor. Oh, it says here that Melkor feared her more than all the others whom Eru made. Hmm. Manwe and Varda are seldom parted, and they remain in Valinor, with halls upon the everlasting snow upon Olose, the uttermost tower of Tanaketil, tallest of the mountains upon earth. Man, those names are rough. Okay, this is interesting. So, for those of you who have ever played like video games or Dungeons and Dragons tabletop stuff, it looks like they have a buff if they're within range of each other. This is really cool. It says, when Manwe ascends his throne and looks forth, if Varda is with him, he sees further than all other eyes through mist and through darkness and over the leagues of sea. And if he is with her, Varda also hears more clearly than all others the sound of voices crying from east to west, the hills and the valleys, and the dark places that Melkor has made upon the earth. So the elves hold Varda most in reverence or love. Oh, so this is Elbereth. See, I don't remember this. I don't remember that being Elbereth. Says they call upon her name in the middle of shadows of Middle Earth and uplift it in song at the rising of the stars. So that's a really cool thing that I don't remember at all from reading this years and years ago. That Elbereth is Varda. Then we get a description here of Olmo being Lord of the Waters, and he lives alone, dwelling nowhere for any length of time, but moving always within the deep waters of the earth. And he is second in might after Manwe. It said before Valinor he was closest to Manwe in friendship, but afterwards very rarely went to the councils of the Valar unless he absolutely had to be, because he was too busy guarding the waters. Ooh, it says if the children of Eru beheld him, they were filled with great dread, for the arising of the King of the Sea was terrible. Hey man, let's go watch Aquaman. This to me sounds more like we're establishing the pantheon of gods, kind of like you had Zeus and Hera at the head of everything, and then underneath that you had all of the lesser gods. That sounds similar to this in the sense that we have, Manwe and Varda at the top, and then Poseidon, the brother, or in this case, Ulmo, Lord of the Sea. Then we get to Aule, who he's third in strength after Ulmo and Manwe, and he has lordship over all substances of which Arda is made. And in the beginning, he spent a lot of time with Manwe and Ulmo and fashioned the lands. And he was a friend to the Noldor, who learned the most about him. It says here that Melkor was jealous of him, for Aule was the most similar to him in thought and in powers. And it says Melkor was constantly trying to destroy or undo the works of Aule. And it said here that Aule eventually grew weary of all of this. He also desired to make things of his own. And we've talked about that in a previous episode on the history of the dwarves. But it says here that he remained faithful to Eru, and everything he did was submitted that was beneath Eru's will. Did not envy the works of others, gave counsel. And the spouse of Ole was Yavanna, the giver of fruits, who is a lover of all things that grow on the earth. So these are pairs that partner with each other, and they complement each other that way. Kimantari, Queen of the Earth, she is surnamed in the Eldarin tongue. Okay, then it talks about the Fanturi, masters of spirits, called Mandos and Lorien. True names are Namo and Irmo. Hmm. Keeper of the houses of the dead. And Irmo is the master of visions. Wait, hang on. I misread that. Let me go back. Mandos and Lorien. Namo dwells in Mandos. Okay, so these are the names of the places. Okay. Doomsman of the Valar. Vire, the weaver, is his spouse who weaves all things in time. So we're dipping into lots of different mythologies here because Tolkien is drawing inspiration from many other sources here. Then we have Irmu, the master of visions, who dwelled in Lorien. And Este was his spouse. She is the mistress of dreams. Then we have Nienna, sister of the Fenturi, who dwells alone, suffering for every wound that Melkor has inflicted upon Arda. What's up, everybody? Quick commercial break here to give it a shout out to our guild champions, who are the highest tier memberships here on YouTube. Ancient Entity, Assassin Gamer 94, Bubalonia Rising, Crazy's Relative, Mujin, and Remedy. Thanks so much for the highest tier membership. And thanks to all of the members who support the channel, because you keep me doing this full time. You too can become a supporter if you're new here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Join as a member. There's 3 different tiers. We do lots of special stuff, private polls, private videos. You get a shout out if you're the highest tier membership, but you can also do one-off donations in the form of super chats on any live stream or premiere you see, and of course super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Whatever you can contribute, it's great. Keeps me on the air full time, keeps the cats fed, keeps the homestead running. Anyway, back to the video, everybody. Greatest in strength, it says here, is Tulkas, surnamed Astaldo the Valiant, who came last to Arda. This is the god of strength and wrestling and golden hair, ruddy flesh. His spouse is Nessa, the sister of Orome, lithe and fleet-footed as the forest where she runs. Then we have Orome. Orome loved all the lands of Middle-earth, left them unwillingly, and came last to Valinor. He is called Alderon, and by the Sindar Tauron, the lord of the forests. The Valaroma is the name of his great horn. And the spouse of Orome is Vana, the ever-young sister to Yavanna. And she is in charge of spring flowers. Okay. So basically this whole section was about kind of the history of the world, but then the names of the Valar and Valir. I'm finishing up this section here. Said, if little is said here of all that the Elder once knew, it is as nothing compared with their true being, which goes back ages far beyond thought. Among them 9 were chief power and reverence, but 1 is removed, although the 8 remain. Also known as the Auratar or the High Ones of Arda. Manwe and Varda, Olmo, Yavanna and Aule, Mandos, Nienna, and Orome. It says, even though Manwe is the king, they are peers in majesty. Huh. And then the next part is of the Maiar, which we'll be getting into next week, because we've got enough here for this week's episode. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. If you know more than I do, please drop it down in the comments below, because I'm always looking to learn more as I read through the Silmarillion and re-educate myself on all things Middle-earth. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, folks. I'll see you next week. Till then, stay safe. Happy reading.